All right, we are tuned in for another episode of live Clow Card readings. Your host, Sukami Guru Alucard, Oyasumi, Konbanwa, Domo arigato gozaimasu, minasan. So we will get right into the readings, then we will do some Neville Goddard and discuss the latest developments. So we'll start off with general future. As usual, if you would like your fortune told, please comment gender, zodiac sign, and if you would like general future, career, or romance. All of those are necessary in order to give you an accurate reading. So let's get into it. All right, so shuffle these cards. Okay. All great Clow cards of Kurorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Give me a message for my general future using the infinite intelligence of universal consciousness. Release. The bubbles. The big. The create. The dark. The jump. The glow. The earthy. The song. The hope. And the windy. Alright, so before I get into it, I will show you what they are. The bubbles. Of course, this card indicates feeling very bubbly. Things are coming about. This is very good as far as a general future reading. Very good card to have. Next, we have the big card, which means it's going to be big things coming. The create indicates this being a time of creation, which is very good, especially with me making the new album, working on certain projects. I'm also writing a new book. So, yeah, a lot of things are being created, and that is very accurate to the energy of this. The dark card, which means, well, things could appear to be going through sort of a dark time, which in some ways I agree they are, and then in other ways, I'd say, well, it's usually darkest before dawn. The rest of the cards indicate that there is more positivity in this reading. The next, we have the jump card, which means, jumping to a new level, taking a leap of faith, which is very good. Then we had the glow card, meaning things are going to start shining brightly. And then we had the earthy card, which means finding inner strength, going down to the roots of it all. The song indicates music being a strength, a guide, and being a recording artist. That is often very much the case. Then we have the hope, which indicates the hope for something very good coming my way in the nearby future. And then rounding it off, we have the windy, which, especially with the reading giving me all these other cards, I would actually say it's sort of significant, like symbolizing or signifying that, like, the winds of change are coming onto the horizon, that very good things are starting to blow my way, which is very good. So that is the general future reading for myself. I obviously do my own readings because it's always interesting to see what the cards will tell me, and then also to give a general idea of how other people's readings would go if they request them during the live video, or if people donate to PayPal, they can qualify for special rewards. All proceeds will be used to help fund my new musical project, Time Breaker, and in return, depending on how much you donate, you receive special rewards. So here we go. We will now get into the romance reading. Then we will do career and start reading a bit of Neville Goddard. If anybody does want their fortune told in this episode, please comment gender, zodiac sign, and what type of reading you would like, whether it's general future, career, or romance, and I will get to your reading before we conclude this broadcast. Oh, great Clow cards of Kurorito, please guide me with a message regarding my romantic situation. Reris. The float, the shot, the light, the love or the heart card, and the storm. So, this is actually a fantastic reading. First, we have the float card, which basically would indicate like rising to a new elevation, feeling like I'm floating. It's a very happy, exciting, sort of gleeful feeling about this romantic situation that I'm moving towards, we'll say. The shot means taking a chance, making sure that I don't miss out on good opportunities regarding this. The light indicates, as I was saying earlier, like it's often darkest right before dawn, but this is indicating that this will be the light of all the future events coming. Very good. And then we have the heart or the love card, which is very promising, especially to draw that in a romantic reading. It's very symbolic that this is going to be like the one, the soulmate, the twin flame, the true love, however you want to call it. This is a very special connection that is in the process of developing. And then we have the storm card, meaning that on an emotional level, things are kind of all over the place. It kind of feels like everything is clashing all at once. And it seems like many different elements are at play. So sometimes it may seem more chaotic than it really is. But look at the old saying, like without sunshine and rain, the grass won't grow. Sometimes you need to go through a storm for negative things to clear out of your life and for positive things to flow in. So, very positive reading for my romantic situation overall. And then next, we will do career. After career, we will read some Neville Goddard. And of course, if anybody would like a reading, a fortune told, please comment gender, zodiac sign, and if you would like general future, romance, or career. So now we will get into my career reading. Oh, great Clow cards of Kuro Rido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars, reveal to me what message you have for guidance in my career in the future to come. Reris. The thunder, the dream, the illusion, the voice, and the silent. All right, so here we have the thunder card, which means a charge, like sort of like getting charged up, feeling really fired up, feeling passion, and like having that thunder to really go for all I want with the career. That is definitely something I can feel lately, especially working on this new project, Timebreaker. The dream indicates be aware of dreams and notice the guidance that comes from them. Also, especially with a career, this is indicating going for the dream career, moving towards what I'm passionate about, and the answers coming to me along the way. The illusion indicates that perhaps things are not as they seem. Whereas I'm not sure maybe how successful I've been with my music career, but perhaps this card is actually revealing that I'm more successful than I realize. And that is actually a very good thing. The voice indicates using my voice, which I have been doing, obviously, with my music, with these live broadcasts, doing the live Clow card readings, and then also, especially in a lot of the groups I've joined, like the morning study sessions with Awesomeness Lifestyles branch off group from the Napoleon Hill Institute. I've been giving a lot of insight and sort of good advice, and I guess you could say testimonies to inspire people, which I have been doing lately. Then, of course, there's the Buddhist meetings, the Sunday and the 2 Thursdays of every month, having wisdom that helps other Buddhists actually see a different light to the knowledge of the universe. And, of course, the Monday night Matrix meetings, which I attend every week if they are on, unless they are canceled. So, yeah, voice being a very prevalent thing. And then the silent is indicating that there's actually things going on behind the scenes that are crucial to the development of my career, but they appear silent. Like there's things people have not said that will actually be very beneficial in the future moving towards it. So, all about very great positive readings, very good guidance there. Helps me understand things. And then, of course, this is to give you an example too, as the audience of how these live fortune tellings go. So, next we will read a bit of Neville Goddard. And of course, if you would like your fortune told, before we get into the discussion part of our broadcast, I will tell anybody who requested fortune as well. And if you do check out the description, please give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't. But if you check out this subscription, the inscription in the description, I should say, you will actually see what rewards you would qualify if you donate to help fund the next musical project, which is Timebreaker. There's some really cool rewards depending on how much you go for. And of course, if you would like to hear all of my released discography or any of my songs that you might or might not have heard already, please check out the playlist in there as well. So today we will start into Neville Goddard's next book in the series of all the ones we've been reading, Prayer, the Art of Believing, starting with chapter 1, Law of Reversibility, which is not very long. So, and there is a lot of good material in this. I find myself doing this live, reading it out loud and rereading it because I've already read this whole book already. But it's the repetition that helps you really understand and internalize the ideas behind it. So let's get into it. Chapter 1, Law of Reversibility. Pray for my soul. More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of. Tennyson. Prayer is an art and requires practice. The first requirement is a controlled imagination. Parade and vain repetitions are foreign to prayer. Its exercise requires tranquility and peace of mind. Use not vain repetitions, for prayer is done in secret, and thy Father, which seeth in secret, shall reward thee openly. The ceremonies that are customarily used in prayer are mere superstitions and have been invented to give prayer an air of solemnity. Those who do practice the art of prayer are often ignorant of the laws that control it. They attribute the results obtained to the ceremonies and mistake the letter for the spirit. The essence of prayer is faith, but faith must be permeated with understanding to be given that active quality which it does not possess when standing alone. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. This book is an attempt to reduce the unknown to the known by pointing out conditions on which prayers are answered and without which they cannot be answered. It defines the conditions governing prayer in laws that are simply a generalization of our observations. The universal law of reversibility is the foundation on which its claims are based. Mechanical motion caused by speech was known for a long time before anyone dreamed of the possibility of an inverse transformation, that is, the reproduction of speech by mechanical motion. the phonograph, or any recording devices, since that was probably the first original and most archaic form of that. For a long time, electricity was produced by friction without ever a thought that friction in turn could be produced by electricity. Whether or not man succeeds in reversing the transformation of a force, he knows nevertheless that all transformations of force are reversible. If heat can produce mechanical motion, so mechanical motion can produce heat. If electricity produces magnetism, magnetism too can develop electric currents. If the voice can cause undulatory currents, so can such currents reproduce the voice, and so on. Cause and effect, energy and matter, action and reaction are the same and interconvertible. This law is of the highest importance because it enables you to foresee the inverse transformation once the direct transformation is verified. If you knew how you would feel were you to realize your objective, then inversely, you would know what state you could realize you were to awaken in yourself such feeling. The injunction to pray, believing that you already possess what you pray for, is based upon a knowledge of the law of inverse transformation. If your realized prayer produces in you a definite feeling or state of consciousness, then inversely, that particular feeling or state of consciousness must produce your realized prayer, because all transformations of force are reversible. You should always assume the feeling of your fulfilled wish. You should awaken within you the feeling that you are and have that which heretofore you desired to be and possess. This is easily done by contemplating the joy that would be yours were your objective an accomplished fact, so that you live and move and have your being in the feeling that your wish is realized. The feeling of the wish fulfilled, if assumed and sustained, must objectify the state that would have created it. This law explains why faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, and why he calleth things that are not seen as though they were, and things that were not seen become seen. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and continue feeling that it is fulfilled until that which you feel objectifies itself. If a physical fact can produce a psychological state can produce a physical fact. If the effect A can be produced by the cause B, then inversely, the effect B can be produced by the cause A. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24, ERV. And that already concludes the chapter. Very short chapter today, but hey, there was a lot of really great information that just even rereading that soaked very much into my spirit. That was very great. So, for the rest of the broadcast, of course, if people do have requests for their fortunes to be told, please comment and I will get to them. But if not, then we will use the remainder of the time to discuss all the latest developments. Now, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with this classic game, Dark Cloud. One of the very first PS2 games originally made for the PS2. Now, it's a very great game. I actually beat it recently for the first time in 18 years, and then I oversaved my progress, but I didn't get upset about it because there were things I learned while playing it that I didn't know when I'd started playing it, that as I'm going back replaying it, I now have the opportunity to work through completing everything in 100% perfectness, which is great. Like, for example, one thing most people didn't realize is that when you get the defense boost for all your different characters, the six of them get defense boost for their favorite snacks. With Tone or Toan, it is the fluffy donut. With Xiao, it is fish candy. With Goro, it's the grass cake. With Ruby, my favorite character, the genie. Oh God, she's my dream girl in a way. Witch parfait. With Ungaga, it's scorpion jerky and carrot cookie for Osmond. Now, most people didn't realize, I didn't know this as a kid, and I didn't even know this when I first started replaying through it again, that the boost is actually randomized. You can get anywhere from 5 to 7. Now, there is a trick to actually make sure you get all sevens. Now, it does require a lot of work. It does involve resetting the console if you don't get a 7. But basically, every time you go to put it on a character, it is randomized. So you can essentially give it to your character. If they don't have a 7, just make sure you save before you give it to them. And then if you don't, reset it, try again till you get a 7. When you get that 7, save. Keep like that way you're always getting a 7. When you get the 7, make sure you save because you don't want to lose that 7, right? So essentially, as I've been going along, when I've gotten these boosts, when I get a 7, I save. If not, I make sure I save before I attempt to give it to the character. And if I don't get a 7, reset until I get a 7, then save. And you can actually max out your character's defense that much more. Not a lot of people know that. Fascinating game, and there's so much lore and interesting things with that like I could go on forever. I've learned so much about the game, and I've been actually in the process of leveling up all my characters' weapons to max, because after you beat the Dark Genie, there's a bonus area for North American copies only called the Demon Shaft, which is a 100-floor dungeon that just gets even harder and harder and harder as you go up. About every 20 floors, it drastically goes up in difficulty. And then the final boss is actually the Black Knight Pendragon, which is actually stronger than the Dark Genie. And that's why I'm doing that, because I want to be able to 100% complete it and actually beat the 100-floor dungeon and max out everything. So that's what I've been working on. It's a lot of work. I'm currently on the Moon Sea dungeon of the game, which shows you how much progress I've made. Actually, right before I saved, I was able to max out Zhao's health boost, which is 64. And yeah, it's just great because now I just have to max out Ruby, Toan, Goro, Ungaga, and Osmond. Ruby is my favorite character to play. I actually got her the secret armlet before I lost my progress. I'm kind of sad about it, but she's actually got Athena's armlet right now, so she's at the penultimate weapon anyway. So, few more dungeons, levels, I'll get her up right to the top. Now, to see these comments right here, I always wanted to play Dark Cloud, but never owned it. Definitely, if you could get a copy for PS2, I think they have emulators for PS5 and PS4 now. Definitely play it. It's honestly worth it. In fact, I actually, in my opinion, because of the music, because of the story, because of all the different game mechanics, I honestly find that it's one of the best games, not only for PS2, but of all time. As for Abs Up in here, have you played Dark Cloud 2? I actually have. I played it quite a bit when I was a kid. Never beat it either. I got right to Emperor Griffin, and then my ex sold my games at the time, so I actually never got to fully complete it, but I did get that far into the game. I actually like it. I will say this. I like them both, but for different reasons. Like, I probably like one a bit better than 2, Mostly because of the story. I love all the characters. Ruby's like my favorite character. She's like just gorgeous and mad strong and so fun to play as, right? Like I think that's my favorite character. And like in all of them. So that's kind of why I like one more. But at the same time, I like the way they expand on certain things in Dark Cloud too. Like the fact that like the weapon upgrading systems more advanced, the way you can build like houses a lot more customized, the way you could change characters' outfits. I'll put it this way, in Dark Cloud 2, my favorite character would actually be Monica, which in my opinion is like a combination of Toan and Ruby from the first game, because she's got the armlet just like Ruby, and then she's also got the sword like Toan. And in fact, some people like they've made the joke, oh, maybe Monica is like Toan and Ruby's descendant. Which the interesting thing about that is basically when you complete Queens in the first game, and it's King of Queens. There's a joke there, it's funny. But he gives you Ruby. Do you know if you talk to him after you complete that, he says, oh, tell Ruby don't come back. So that means she technically belongs to Toan. Even though at the end of the first game when you beat the Dark Genie, it's just Toan and Xiao going back to Norun Village. Technically, Ruby would be with him. Maybe she's in the lamp and he's carrying the lamp, but technically she would belong to Toan. So Osmond would probably go back to the moon, like, you know, story wise, it would make sense. Goro would go back to Matataki Village, and Ungaga would probably go back to Muskalaka. There is actually both names referenced in it. So I think it's the translation, the fact that in Japanese language, there's not really an L or an R sound. They're kind of combined often. So it's probably actually both, like Muskaraka, like to say it like the Japanese way. But Masukaraka. But yeah, and the interesting thing about that though is, okay, basically Dark Cloud 1 looks like it's like kind of quite early compared to like the futuristic sort of style of Dark Cloud 2. So Monica could actually be like a future ancestor of Toan and Ruby, who had a child probably. That's why she has mad magical powers and sword skills. So that is actually a possibility. Now, it's fascinating too because like I love the game overall because it inspired like a lot of things ever since I was young. In fact, two of my songs are inspired by Dark Cloud and one and two. Actually three songs that are released are, and a new song that I'm working on called The Law of Assumption with Olga. I do a Buddhist chant in the beginning of the song. Namu myoho renge kyo. Namu myoho renge kyo. Namu myoho renge kyo. And then Ruby actually jumps in and is like, yeah, right before Olga starts singing the chorus. So there is a slight Dark Cloud reference there. My song Midnight Assassin from my first album Impulse actually samples the theme when you're fighting Minotaur Joe in the Moon Coliseum with Osmond. The theme is called The Rowdy if you look it up on the Dark Cloud soundtrack. That beat, that instrumental, is actually the source that is like the sampled inspiration for the beat of Midnight Assassin, my song from Impulse. And to show I actually am quite a huge Dark Cloud 2 fan as well, the song Zhennai, which is Chinese for true love, which was Olga Chung's first appearance with me on Impulse as well, the instrumentation samples the Vinicio Cove theme from Dark Cloud 2. So that both games actually played an inspiration on the themes for my first album. Just in case people didn't know that, if you check out those two songs from Impulse, you'll see, if you listen to the Vinicio Cove and then the Rowdy from the Dark Cloud 1 soundtrack, Vinicio's Dark Cloud 2, you would hear the difference, but you would hear the similarity of where the inspiration came from with the melody and the beat. They were sampled from it. And then one of my more recent albums, which was released in June, Parallel Reality Volume 1, there's a song called On to a New Adventure. That is actually an entire reference to the Dark Cloud 2 theme song, which I love. Not 100% the same, but it's basically like a jazzy improvisation of the original theme from Dark Cloud 2. So if you check out that song, On to a New Adventure, you'll hear the Dark Cloud 2 reference there as well. As for Timebreaker, now completing that new song with Olga, that would make half of the album complete. That means there's 6 more songs to go. The next one will feature Reiko of Lolita Dark, a frequent collaborator, who will rap on it, split the chorus with me, and then play a guitar solo at the end, because she rocks. She played a guitar solo and rapped on my song from Nailgun, My Angel, if you want to check that out, just to get a little preview of what that'll be like. And the song will be called Stars and Dreams. That'll be the next one I record. And then after that, I only have 5 more songs to record to complete the album. So we're getting there. I'm hoping that maybe by the end of March towards April, we should have the album fully recorded. I'm thinking of releasing it maybe in October, and after it's complete, doing maybe another music video, maybe 2, and just, promoting it, get all the fans all hyped up to buy this album and support it, and, build upon that. And then also, there's actually been an entire album of material recorded that would be released after that. I'm thinking of releasing that one in December, and that will be a point to prove. So 2 albums coming out this year. Just want to get Timebreaker complete first. And I've definitely played a few previews of all the songs that have been completed so far. Like on the last episode, we actually played a preview of Timebreaker. If you haven't heard it yet and you want to hear the album title tracks preview, you could check out the last episode in this series. And when the Law of Assumption is fully mixed and mastered, in a future episode, we'll preview that as well. So definitely stay tuned and keep checking them out. Now, as far as everything else, I'm actually working on a book. I drew a lot of inspiration from not only Hitomi Shimatani, but Ruby, the Genie, and Dark Cloud with working on this new book. Now, I don't fully have a title for it yet. Like, I was thinking of calling it The Ruby of Hitomi. I'm currently on chapter 3 of it. Like, I started writing and I'm into chapter 3. And I've also been working on The Liberation of the Sun and Moon Empires, which is another book. And I'm also working on another book called Thoughts, the Story of Super Kami Guru Alucard. So, yeah, 3 books at once I'm writing. And like, I try not to force it. It's not really that I've stopped on the other 2 projects. I write when I feel inspired or I get sort of the creative idea to work on it. I don't want to force it. I want all the stories to be natural and inspired. And lately, I feel very inspired to work on this, the Ruby of Hitomi story. So that's why I've been working on that. But of course, I haven't pushed aside the Liberation of the Sun and Moon Empire story or Thoughts, the Story of Super Kami Guru Alucard. When I am inspired to work on them, I will work on those as well. So that's pretty much all the updates as far as what's going on with everything else in my career. To answer FYC Library, Yeah, I would say it's sort of like a historical fantasy fiction sort of book. There's like gods, monsters, samurai, ninja, all sorts of things in it. I'd say it takes reference from the Water Margin, the book, an ancient Chinese novel, Suikoden. It also takes influence from like a lot of animes that I watch. Like in creating the characters, I base certain characters upon some of my favorite characters in the anime. And it's a really good story. Like I actually wrote it once before, but then my ex didn't like that like I made the character based on myself get married to like another woman that wasn't her, like a character based on her. So she got mad and she deleted it out of spite. So I actually know the entire story and how I would put it together. But at the same time, it's one of those things I don't want to force. Like when I feel like I can write it the way it originally once was and have that sort of creative inspiration that feels natural, that's usually when I work on it. So far into that story, though, I have made it to about chapter 5. So obviously, still working on that when, the ideas come. And of course, besides reading Neville Goddard for everybody on this show, I read 3 books every day that I'm working on. I'm nearly complete, which I was talking about, The Water Margin, that ancient Chinese novel. As you could see, it's that long, and that's like the end of the book. So, nearly complete that. Because I'm getting into Buddhism, which has been going very well, I have an awesome mentor who totally understands like my love for anime and retro video games and Japanese music and culture. And he loves my music. This is a guy who actually worked in the music industry. And at one point, he had even met Jay-Z's manager. So he's like an awesome mentor. Like the universe aligned me the right person to guide me, right? But in Buddhism, we studied this book, the Threefold Lotus Sutra, which, as I've been reading this, you're supposed to recite certain things out loud, and I do find it brings me a sense of peace, which is very nice. And lastly, of the 3 books I've been reading, the entire Death Note manga. Of course, still got to get the manga in there, and Death Note is a classic. Um, that's where it starts, this side. So as you could tell, I'm probably about like I'd say about like almost 3/4 done. Roughly about 3/4 done. So getting there and getting closer to completing that. It's awesome to reread that too, of course, because I've seen the show. But the manga has so much more details that aren't even in the anime that it's just great. Like noticing the differences is wonderful. And yeah, that is the entire manga series in one book. It's massive, right? But yeah, she deleted it. And I agree, it's very whack. It was my ex before Haruna and Ayane Rahima who did that. It sucks. But I do have the full story in the back of my mind, so one day I will get around to fully rewriting it the way it was originally intended and envisioned. Yeah, I agree with you that can't force inspiration. Yeah, it is all in one book. The pages are pretty thin. And I'll put it this way, I have a Bible. It's funny you say that because I have a Bible. That's how thick the Bible is, right? And the funny thing is, if that's the Bible, look at Death Note. Death Note is like the size of 3 Bibles in one. Like maybe 2.5, but you get the point. Probably closer to 3. So yeah, Death Note is massive. But so you could understand whereabouts I am in the series, if you watch the actual anime, I am right near the part where Nier and Mello are going after L Kira. Don't want to give away too many spoilers, but anybody who's watched the show will get what I mean when I say that it's right after Soichiro dies. So if you've never seen the show, just ignore everything I'm saying. I don't want to give away spoilers. But if you know what I'm talking about, then that would give you an idea of whereabouts in the manga I am. So yeah, it's been very great. And of course, every day is always an exciting adventure as Super Kami Guru Alucard. So until next time, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for the support. Keep, sharing the videos, checking out the songs, giving me likes, subscribing to the channel, spread the word, tell all your friends about it. It's awesome. We always have these great conversations like the people in the chat. It's wonderful. So until next time though, I'm Super Kami Guru Alucard. Domo arigato gozaimasu minasan. Oyasumi nasai. Matane. Super Kami Guru Alucard. Peace out.